Salve omnes, welcome to this video lesson on section 4 of Fabulae Faciles. Perseus gets his outfit. So we're in the myth of Perseus, the first great heroic son of Zeus. Perseus ubi haec audiuit. Perseus, when he heard these things. Now, ubi, you might be used to meaning where, but it can also sometimes mean when. So at what place or at what time, ubi. Perseus, when he heard these things, or whereupon he heard these things, ex insula discessit, departed from the island. All right, audiuit and discessit both are perfect active verbs. Et postquam ad continentem venit, and after he came, venit, another perfect verb, to the continent. And continent here, notice that it's coming from contineo, continere, the verb that means to contain or hold together. So this is land holding itself together, land held together, and it is, of course, where we get the word continent in English. Medusam quaesiuit, he sought Medusa, or searched for Medusa. Diu frustra quaerebat, for a long time he searched, quaerebat, that's the imperfect tense, quaesiuit was the perfect tense of that verb. Yeah, for a long time he sought in vain, frustra. Namque, for or since. Now, if you're not familiar with namque, it's just a synonym of nam or enim. You can kind of ignore the que on the end. If you want to, you could say and since, but it doesn't really need to be translated. I would just leave the que out. Some authors like to say namque instead of nam, or they might use it for variation just to have something a little different now and again. So for or since, namque, he did not know, ignorabat, the nature of the place, naturam loci. Now, when this phrase is used, the nature of the place, natura loci, it generally refers to kind of like the geographic construction of a region, right? So he didn't know, the layout of the land, we might say in English idiom. For he did not know the natura loci, the nature of the place. Tandem, at last. Tandem is a synonym for postremo or demum, denique, all of these words that mean at last or finally. At last, Apollo et Minerva, Apollo and Minerva, viam demonstraverunt, demonstrated, or perhaps just showed would be better. That's usually a better way to translate this verb. Showed the way, viam. Primum ad Graias, first to the Graiae, sorores Medusae, the sisters of Medusa, pervenit. He came. He arrived first at the Graiae, the sisters of Medusa. So the Graiae in Greek mythology are three sisters. They're quite often these tripartite goddesses that are in three figures, or maybe have three different forms, like Hecate has three different forms she appears in. So the Graiae are three of these. The Gorgons, which would be Medusa and her two sisters, are another of these sets of three. And the Fates, who are known as the Moirae, or in Latin the Parcae, they are another set of three like this. So the Graiae, well, there's not a lot about what they do in the myths that we have, but there is a description of what they look like. They're old, nasty-looking women, and they have one eye and they have one tooth, and they share their one tooth between them whenever they need to eat anything, and they share their one eye whenever they need to see anything. They sort of pass it around, right? They are, according to mythology, sisters of the Gorgons. So Medusa and her sisters, the Gorgons, are sisters of the Graiae. So first he came to the Graiae, the sisters of Medusa. Ab his talaria et galea magicam accepit. From these, meaning the Graiae, ab his, he received, accepit. Okay, two things. Talaria. Talaria means winged sandals. Now, It's coming from a root for ankle here. It's like ankle wearing things. Um, and then Galea, of course, means a helmet, and Magika, you can see from the English derivatives, many English derivatives, that means magic or magical. So he received from them winged sandals, Talaria, and his magic helmet. Now, the magic helmet is the helm of Hades, which makes you invisible. And the winged sandals are the ones that often are, described as the sandals of Mercury that have wings on them so he can fly through the air. He also often has wings on his hat or other places as well, sometimes directly on his ankles rather than on sandals. Right? Apollo autem, however, Apollo et Minerva and Minerva. Now, Minerva is the Latin name for Athena, and she is often associated with heroes. She often helps the heroes. So Apollo, however, and Minerva, falcem et speculum et idederunt, gave him a sickle, falcem. So this is a curved blade for reaping grain, but you see it in a lot of these early myths, right? So they gave him this sickle, and they gave him a speculum, a mirror. Now, this is a little bit different from the version of the Perseus story that I'm used to. So Apollo seems to be helping him here, but usually it's actually Hermes that helps him. And Hermes and Athena are probably the two most famous gods associated with helping heroes. Tum postquam, then afterwards, or after, rather, then after, talaria pedibus induit, he puts the talaria, the winged sandals, pedibus, on his feet. In aera ascendit, he climbed or ascended into the air. Diu, for a long time, per aera volabat, he flew or was flying, volabat is imperfect, through the air. Tandem, at last, tamen, nevertheless. Ad eum locum venit, he came to that place. Ubi Medusa, where Medusa, cum ceteris gorgonibus habitabat, lived with the other Gorgons. All right. And the other Gorgons, these are her two sisters, right? Gorgones autem monstra errant. However, or moreover, the Gorgons were monsters, errant monstra. Specie horribile. Now, this is an ablative of description. We would say of horrible appearance or with a horrible appearance, something like that. So it's an ablative case here. You can describe nouns with a genitive phrase or with an ablative phrase in Latin. And in English, we do this typically by saying something like of or with. So the Gorgons, however, were, or moreover, were monsters of a horrible appearance or with a horrible appearance. Literally here, we've got the ablative of description again, specie horribili. Capita enim, earum, for their heads, anguibus omnino contecta errant, had been covered, contecta errant, two-word pluperfect passive, entirely, omnino, that's the adverb coming from the root of omnis, meaning all, had been entirely covered, anguibus. Now, if you don't know the word anguis, some other synonyms of that you might know, vipera, viper, coluber, another word for snake, serpens, draco, sometimes is used for this. So there's a lot of words for snakes or snaky kind of serpent things in Latin. Anguis is one of them. So for their heads were entirely covered or were covered altogether in snakes. All right, and if you've never seen a picture of a Gorgon before, often modern depictions of them, they look like beautiful women with snaky hair, right? But in the ancient world, usually they have nasty, scary faces, and then the snakes all around. Now, their body might be the body of a beautiful woman. And Medusa herself was supposedly originally just a normal, beautiful woman, but then Poseidon had his way with her in the temple of Athena, and Athena got upset that they had committed intercourse in her temple, defiling the temple, and so she took it out on Medusa, who really didn't have anything to say about it, right? Poseidon, as this powerful god, one of the most powerful gods, had just had his way with her without her choice. So it wasn't her fault. But Athena, knowing that she couldn't really do anything about Poseidon, being such a powerful god, that essentially he was equal to her, she took out all of her rage on Medusa and cursed her, and that's when she got the snaky hair and all that. So that's a normal version of this. And this is also explaining why Athena hates Medusa and why Athena is going to want Perseus to chop off her head, right? And why she might be helping Perseus. Again, poor Medusa. I mean, it wasn't her fault. She ended up this way. All right. Gorgones autem. The Gorgons, however. Oh, we already did that part. Sorry. Last line or last sentence here at the line 15. Manus etiam. Even their hands. Ex aere. No, not ex aere. Ex aere. Different word. Factae erant. So, good place to note the difference between aer and ice iris. So aer aeris, which we had up above in, say, line 12 in aera, aer means air, but ice iris means bronze. And you'll notice how the word aer for air has a long A, so the long mark on the A there, whereas the AE in ice iris is the diphthong, which sounds like I, right? So their hands also were made or had been made, factae erant, from bronze. Okay. Scary monsters with snakes on their head and bronze hands. Okay. Very good. I hope you learned a few things about the myth here and maybe